And prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together and do the work for the citizens of this great county that we live in. We just thank you for the privilege to do that and that we have a democracy that allows that. We really want to pray today for this nation that we live in, Lord, that you would just help heal this nation. We're living in really difficult times. Specifically, we'll pray for former President Trump and his family. Pray for some calmness, some kindness, and some goodness to come from the people of this country. It's we're struggling as a country right now, Lord, and we just ask that you do that. We also pray for the citizens of this great county that we live in, this great state that we live in, and that you would just watch over and protect us and lead us and guide us. It's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you. Are there any special announcements or recognitions? No? Approval of previous meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
These minutes are approved. Okay, Departmental Business and Reports. Ms. Amber Toll, Highway Department. Welcome, Amber.
Hi. So I do have two items. First of all, I would like to go ahead and award the County Road 1250 project. It was the second community crossings project that we applied and were granted. This is 1250, just north of State Road 22. We had one bid for this project. E&B bid at a unit price, a total bid of $516,917.05. And I reviewed the bid and would like to go ahead and award that to E&B Paving.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of awarding that contract?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that contract is awarded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get going. My second item is I got a request from NDOT to go ahead and change our signing authority to Mr. Dodd, as he is the sitting president of the commissioners. And so we do have to appoint a legal binding authority for signing NDOT and federal grants. So I'd like to go ahead and make that.
Alan, you good with that?
I'm good with that,
Okay.
yes.
You need that as a motion?
I do need that
I'll
in the
make
minutes,
that, I'll
yes.
make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of
Aye.
changing that signing authority?
Aye.
That is done.
All right, thank you very much. The only thing I would like to mention, this is more of just a public comment. Over the weekend, we did have 5 of our warning street signs taken off of their posts, one of those being a stop sign. This particular stop sign, it's at the intersection of County Road 1000 East and 50 South, I believe. It has actually been taken 3 times in the last 6 to 8 months.
When you say taken, is another word stolen?
Removed and stolen, yes.
Okay. I
Yeah,
just wanted to clarify.
yes, stolen from its post. It no longer was on there. So that stop sign has been taken 3 times. Like I said, we had an additional 5 other signs taken over the weekend. So I would just like to remind everybody that our street signs are incredibly important for our public safety. So remind anyone that you think might be interested in street signs that those are very, very important.
What was that? 1200 and what?
It's 1000 East.
1000
South.
I think it's 50 South, just south of Jerome. Is that 50 South, I believe?
So.
So just please remind anyone, if you do see anyone with a bunch of street signs, say in their garage, please remind them how important those are for our public safety. They not only cost safety to the public, they are a funding cost for us as well. So
Should we say that if you took our signs, please
return.
them?
No questions asked, but please, I just wanted to kind of mention that. We normally have a handful of signs taken every year. We just had an incredible amount taken this last weekend. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Amber.
Amber. And please return our signs. Okay, maintenance department, Mr. Stone Street.
Good afternoon. I have 3 items. The first would be the jail hot water mixing valve. It's worn out. The body of the unit itself is worn out, so it's difficult to rebuild, or it's not effective when you rebuild it anymore. So we would like to replace it with a new one, and also there's a lot of plumbing that's adjacent to this valve it's not working out real well. The whole area needs rebuilt. QPH has quoted us a description and a job, and we can rebuild that for $7,058.34. And I would like to pay for this from Coomcat Building Repair, 1138.47243.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to that?
Second one would be the EMA Berkeley garage furnace. It's got a leaky heat exchanger, and it's an older R22 unit, so it's time to go. We can do it in-house for equipment price of $5,500. That's more than what we need, but that will do it. I'd like to pay this also from Coomcat Building Repair, 1138.47243.
You heard the request?
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That is
Thank you very much. This is the bids. I'd like to keep this number potentially to ourselves at the moment. There's only one way to find out how much is this going to cost with installation, and that's actually do all the footwork. But this is potentially a public works project, so this number has to be kept to ourselves kind of until we are sure that it's okay to go ahead and present that number. The reason I say this is because we're going to make this purchase through the government procurement program via the Wilson Learning Center. So we should be okay to just go ahead and accept this if we desire, but I'm not 100,000% positive. I want to be so after I speak with these folks. The way it's described to me, we actually make the purchase through the Wilson Government Center. They do all the work that satisfies the State Board of Accounts requirements as far as concerning a potential public works project. So with that being said, this price that you see there includes 2 Camus condensing boilers and their installation, water furnace DOAS units, that's dedicated outdoor systems. They're going to do this a different way. It's a different type of installation that we have right now, where the unit's going to actually be on the roof. We're going to have a roof penetration that has the piping in and out, and then the coils are going to be down below. You cannot service these units right now. It's impossible. You can't even get your eyes on the equipment. So it's way better to do it this way. It's going to add some cost, but for the future, this is the way to go. And also, you probably can't get the old unit out and a new unit in without taking out masonry walls. VADCO, what that is an additional fill in the cooling tower that give us extended capacity in that tower. It's a minimal cost. I highly recommend that. The Armstrong replacement pumps, those are variable frequency drive pumps to circulate the water for the newer units. That will save us energy. It's probably about time that we do that. Like I said, that number you see there, that is the cost for that equipment and the installation. There's also a potential additional fee of $89,280 just to put antifreeze glycol into our system to keep it from freezing up. The reason being for that is the roof penetrations are going to be not exposed, but potentially vulnerable to extreme cold weather in the really, really cold months. We do this in the government center and we don't use glycol. There's ways around that. I'm not sure 100% that we have to do this, but that price is there in case we decide to go that direction. If you turn the page, there's a line item number G, letter G, excuse me. It's from water furnace. We can expose that number. That's $110,810 for 5 units. That is an average number because it's up to us to decide at what amount above and beyond the initial cost that we go as far as how many water furnace heat pumps that we install inside the building. That is an average number. If we went from high to low or any mixture of the different size units, it's going to cost us $110,810 for 5 additional units, for every 5 units we install. Once we get closer or we decide we're going to do X heat pumps, we can actually narrow that number down per unit. That number may go down, may go up, depending on what size those units are, and also how difficult that installation is going to be. Some of these places we're going to have to take out the ceiling to get to them, and I mean a substantial amount. So that is not included in this cost, but care is going to be taken to reduce the cost as much as possible. But it's going to be a very substantial job in some areas. Once we hit the interstitial, it's an assembly line. Now, with that being said, you see that number. This is what we've been working for because we weren't really sure how much money we were going to spend on this. Now that we have that number, when we go through the Wilson Learning Center procurement process, you can reduce 5% from that number you see. They're going to knock that right off the top. Secondly, there's going to be rebates anywhere from 4 to 8% on this through NIPSCO and also through Duke. So there's another $40,000, $80,000 we could be looking at getting back. They just cut us a check because we're going to be saving them. They don't have to upgrade their system since we're reducing our usage. There's going to be a scrap return. We're taking out a substantial amount of metal. And then, but the most important is going to be the energy savings. These are way, way more efficient than what we have up there right now. Plus, the ones up there are worn out, so even their initial efficiencies, we're not even coming anywhere near to that. So with that being said, I would take that number under advisement for here. You could sign that contract right now, and we are off and running. I don't recommend that. I think we need to discuss it a little bit. But with that being said, I have Jonathan and Clay here from Validated Custom Solutions Envelop Group. If you have any questions that go further beyond what I've just announced, they're more than welcome to answer any of those questions.
I saw the price for 5 units. How many units do you think we may need to replace?
73.
73.
So you take 110, or it's 73 divided by 5, multiply that 100 times 110, that's what we're looking at.
Do you think we need to replace all those units
Absolutely. They're all 32 years old. They're all worn out.
at once?
No. If you want to do this over a year, 2, what I'm asking for now is to do A through, because I think we kind of discussed that. We want to do A through E, potentially F. And then once you have that, you can decide how much money you have left over. You can start doing the 5 at a time. We can stop at any time. We can do this hallway and say, stop, okay, we're going to continue on next year,
And we don't have a cost on the installation of the heat pump.
That's right, to $110,810, 5 units plus installation.
Plus installation.
Alan, do you see a problem not being able to give out this number?
No, I don't think there's any problem with giving it out. It's going to be a matter of public record now anyway.
Well, he's asking us not to give it out.
If
Why do you not want to give it out?
it's a government public work project, we've always had to get 3 bids. I always like to
You have,
have,
to get, you have to get competitive bids on something of this cost. No question about that.
but if I announce that bid now, these competitors would know what our number is already. That's what I'm scared of. These guys, we've been working on this a year, and we've done a lot of footwork. I don't want to give somebody else an advantage over what the people we've been working with. And they've been working hard on this. They haven't got a dime out of it.
We would still go out for the
They'll
bid.
have to go out for bid.
That's why I don't want to announce that number yet. But there's no way to know until we go look and go dig.
I guess I understand that. We are still gonna go out for competitive bids.
Yes.
This is just kind of a example.
Example, yeah. The numbers for A through F, those are hard numbers. That's what it's gonna cost. The heat pumps is the only variable. Because we don't know exactly what heat pumps we're gonna replace or where they're at. So, that's why that's not really a hard number. But the other ones, they're hard numbers. That's how much it's gonna cost us.
I guess I understand that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. You're not asking us to do.
No, I'm taking it under advisement. That's all I'm really asking from here. This is a big number.
Their motion, just take this under advisement.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, take this under advisement.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate all the info. Okay. Is there new business to come before the commissioners? Hearing none?
Is that Darrell, I think?
Okay.
Darrell said he, maybe him.
You will be under public comments.
Oh, okay.
Okay, salary claims.
$1,090,563.74.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
These are accepted. Payroll expense.
$1,090,563.74.
Accept as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
These are accepted. Operating claims.
$3,454,645.86.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
These are accepted. Do we have any claims to ratify?
None.
Any monthly reports?
None.
Any grants?
None.
You're on a roll.
Wow.
Mr. Wilson?
I have nothing this afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lipinski?
I'm good.
No, sir.
Mr. Bray?
No, sir.
All right. We are now ready for public comments to come before the commissioners. Please state your name and address for us.
Darrell Blasius, 115 North Hickory Lane, Kokomo, Indiana, 46901.
Okay?
I just want to bring this up, and I talked to some of my neighbors, and I have neighbors here that came with us. We have a neighbor that lives on Sycamore, and I didn't think her address. I think it's 3527. Sharafa is the one that owns the property on the corner, on the south west corner of Sycamore and Hickory, or 22 and Hickory. Her grandson had moved back in about a year and a half ago. And prior to that time, her home was a show home, basically. I mean, she had somebody mowing the lawn every day, every week, well manicured, everything was fine. They are the best, she was the best neighbor, you know. And then her grandson moved back in, which she raised, so she considers him a son. And since then, he's moved to Camper Inn, which is fine. Even though we go over and close the door on a regular basis, it doesn't bother them that the door is open and animals or creatures could go in and out. Well, anyhow, about 3 months ago, we came home one day and there was a little fence right over at the back of their utility barn, which when Richard Sharafa was alive, he told us when we first moved into the property that the barn, the back corner, was over into our property, that when they set it a little too far. But he wanted us to know that. I said, fine, no problem, you know. I mean, I'm not going to have you, you know, do that. So anyhow, so when we come home this, about 3 months ago, when Trevor had a little chicken fence up with about 8 chickens and 3 turkeys in it. And he had it clear back at the back of the barn, which was on our property. So I called over to talk to Judy, and I said, Judy, can I talk to you about something? She said, you need to talk to Trevor. I said, okay, Trevor. I said, your grandfather said that the back of the barn was actually on our shed. Your shed was on our property. So these chickens and turkeys, I would like them moved so that they're not on our property. Because we look out our front window, and that's all we see. So he said, oh, I'll move them to the front yard. That's all he had. I go, okay, fine. You know, we're not worried about you moving the barn or anything like that. Well, since that time, now we have a farm in our front yard, basically, or side yard. They have got, it started out with 5 pigs, 5 goats. Now I think we're up to about 20 or so chickens, turkeys, ducks. He's just got more pigs over there. I just saw another litter of pigs come in. And there's rabbits, and then he's also multiplying the lawn with all of these gardens, raised gardens and everything else. And all of these, it's the fencing that keeps putting them around. I mean, you go out there one day and the fencing is this tall, the next day it's this tall, the next day it's this tall. It's bigger, it takes up more of the yard. He's not mowing the lawn anymore. And these cages are just getting bigger and bigger. This weekend he decided to start putting up a privacy fence on Hickory Lane. I said, did you get an approval? He said, I don't have to, I'm in the county. I go, well, there should be some kind of a limitation. He said, well, I can't have 8 foot, I can have 6 foot. I said, how far can you go to 22? And he says, as far as I want. I said, just a minute, excuse me. But if your grandmother comes out, gets in her car, and pulls up to 22, and goes to look to the left, she doesn't see anything because the fence is in the way, and she pulls out, then whose fault is it? I said, there's got to be, he said, I can do anything on this property, and he just keeps creating a bigger farm and not manicuring, and his grandmother used to always park in the garage. She can't even get to the garage. He keeps bringing in more stuff. Last week he brought in 5 55-gallon white barrels for something, I don't know, and this mulch is being brought in, and one day he got a new tool, he got a new one of those saws that's on the long handle so you can trim trees. He went around, trimmed every tree on the property, and wherever the branch fell, it is still sitting there 8 weeks later. Not picking it up, not doing anything, just it's looking like trash all the way around. And he says, I said, just clean it up as you go. And he said, I don't have, it's just me, all I can do. Is there some kind of regulation on how many animals they can have on the property? The smell is getting to us. And then also, I don't know, there is another issue also that has to do with the farm. This here is, we have noticed in the last few years that a lot of times when I go to my mailbox, I have to go like this to my mailbox because the sewer gas is so strong in our neighborhood. But we're the ones that walk out there and not across and everything. And so that's when we finally called the Board of Health, and they came out and got it all checked. And I guess the limit is 210, whatever that figure, the wording is behind that 210. Well, when they came out and checked it, it was 280,000 instead of 210. So they are trying to come around, and we got a letter in the mail, and we've already got it set to where they're coming out to put a dye in ours septic system so they can find out where that is coming from. So they've already gotten started on that. But between the two, it is just our property value. I mean, and like I said, all these pigs and chickens and goats and turkeys and all that. Is there something that can be done about this? That's what I'm bringing up.
Is there other people who wants to speak on this same issue?
It's affecting all of our
Can you
property.
come up to the podium, please? Give us your name and address.
Jim Thomas, who live right next door to the mess, and next door to them on the back. I hate to think what our property value is now. It's got to have taken that property value down. I need to call a realtor to get a dollar amount. I'm not going to suppose, I don't know, but it's a substantial amount of property value reduction because it's zoned residential. But since when is a farm next door residential? And all that trash out there is residential. So it's just very, very frustrating as neighbors to see all this going on. And it's got to be costing the county a bundle too to have all that sewage stuff checked. That's not cheap, having all those chemical tests done. Anyway, that's just my comment because I live next door to it and I have to see it every day. I talked to Mr. Lipinski. He drove by and took a look at it. It was like, whoa. So I would encourage you to drive by the corner of Hickory and 22 West and take a look at the southwest corner. Thank you.
Hello, Jake Eiseminger. I live on Old Sycamore Road, Patty Host Old House, if you guys are familiar with that area. It's 3672 West, 80 North. So I'm probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 houses west of these guys here on Old Sycamore where this incident's occurring on 22. So, you know, as the crow flies, probably a quarter mile away. They've added roosters to the little petting zoo. And it is constant. It is 24 hours a day. There's not one. I can hear 4, 5, 6 of them at a time. There are some other animals in the area. I don't know if all these belong to him, but I know that was one comment that I think he had made to Daryl at some point was, hey, we don't have roosters. Well, now he's added roosters. So it's a nuisance, not only an eyesore, the smell, as they've noted, but also just the continual nuisance of the noise. I know this is a first world problem, but I enjoyed work. I work from home. I like to sit on my deck. I'm on conference calls all day long. Haven't been able to do that since all this has been going on because it's just a constant noise of these roosters crowing all day and all night long. Kids try to camp out in the backyard, have a night over with friends. Forget it. They're all in the house. You know, just it's been affecting our, I don't want to say livelihood, but just our happiness around the area. You know, we moved out there for a reason. I realize it's, you know, we are in the county. These things can happen. But there's others around us that have goats on another smaller farm. You know, they're housed properly. They have a shelter. They have a fence, that kind of thing. But, you know, like Daryl's saying, these guys are literally popping up like a little playpen kennel, you know, like a fence no bigger than these tables here. Have 5, 6, 7 goats in it with no shelter over the top. They do cover the top. It's a blanket or a bed sheet. You know, it's just not a conducive environment, I guess, for what he's trying to accomplish. So just wanted to come and support the rest of the neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on this issue before we address it? I appreciate all of you coming and talking about this. At our last meeting, we did talk about this very thing. I know I've been out there a couple times. I've talked to several of you on the phone. And as I said in our last meeting, sometimes it just takes 1 or 2 people to make us take actions that we don't want to take. We don't want to be turned into that big brother. But sometimes we have to. And this is kind of one of those cases. I know I've asked our health department to be here tonight. I've asked our drainage folks, our surveyor to be here tonight. I've asked our planning commission director to be here tonight. So if any of you would like to talk about what you are doing presently, because they're all involved in this very case. So if any of you would like to say anything about this, this would be your opportunity. If not, I'll address them. Okay, hearing none, I'll address them, I guess. That is true that this started with our health department going out there with a complaint. And they did do some testing, and they are finding some issues, which they started working with our stormwater and sewer or drainage surveyor. And so that is being looked at. Some dye testing is being done, as you said, Daryl, and that is ongoing. That is extensive, it is expensive, and it does take some time. So, but that has started, and that is ongoing, so we can find out about this smell. Is it part of this? We don't know, but we're going to find out. And Mr. Wilson, stop me if I start going off the rails here.
Okay, you're fine so far.
So we are looking at a countywide nuisance ordinance, because this is not the only phone call or the only property that we've received complaints about. There are others where people have failed to maintain what I call just common sense courtesy to neighbors. And we all get the phone calls, all three of us. And unfortunately, we are going to attempt to address some of these in a countywide nuisance ordinance. But that takes time. We can't just do a knee-jerk reaction. It's going to take some time to create this ordinance. And with the three of us working on it, along with Mr. Wilson, along with department heads, along with Planning Commission, we'll see what we can come up with. I stopped there and I talked to Trevor. I told him that I wasn't there to tell him what to do right now, but I was asking him to clean up the place. I think that inspired him to do more, unfortunately. So I know our Planning Commission is looking at it. It is zone residential.
Rural residential.
Rural. So we are looking at that aspect of it. When I was there, the animal control folks showed up. So they're looking at it from that aspect. So a lot of people are looking at this to see what we could do. So I wanted to, the reason I'm taking time to explain all this, I wanted the neighbors there to know that many of our departments are working on this. It's not going unnoticed, and we are working on it. And I wanted you to know that. So, but we can't fix it overnight. I'm sorry, but we can't. But many of our departments and our department heads are here, and we're working on it. Okay? So we're going to see what we can do. It's not the only property out there that we're working on. There are a couple others. So, but and the commissioners can say what they want, but we all get the phone calls. So I'll open it up to you guys.
I just want to reiterate that the Plan Commission is working on this, and I expect something back from them probably real soon that might get the process moving a little bit faster, to be honest with you.
Like Jack said, we get these calls like every week, it seems like, and we're trying, like this ordinance, put a little teeth in it to be able to do something. So it is in the works. Like you said, it doesn't move fast, unfortunately, but we'll get there eventually.
We will. And I know the Planning Commission, like Commissioner Lipinski said, they're working on something, so we hope from that aspect, maybe that can move us, get something going. Yes, sir, come back up here, so, because you're being recorded.
Okay. One more question is there any kind of a guideline on how far he can take that privacy fence to the road? I'm just worried about blind spots for traffic and that. I don't know where he's going to take it. He's just got it led along Hickory, and I don't know how far up he's going to take it. And then he said he's going to go along 22, also the front of the property. And I'm going, and he said he doesn't have to worry about that. There's no rules, no regulations he has to
I'm
follow.
going to ask our highway superintendent to take a look at that from a safety
Okay.
point.
Yeah, because that could be a very blind, that's kind of a blind corner anyhow with that curve before you come up to Hickory Lane.
There's already, you're right, there's
Right.
already a curve there, so I'm going to ask highway.
And at that speed, they're around that corner in no time at all. And if that's a blind spot, it could really be one of those bad intersections. So anyhow, I just appreciate whatever you can do. I just wanted to see. It just seems like it gets
She will
worse.
work with our sheriff's department to take a look.
She's writing it down now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just real quick, I just wanted to say that whoever this gentleman is, he's wrong that he can do whatever he wants to in the county, number one. Let's get that straight. Number two, we don't issue permits for fencing, but there are standards that they have to follow. But if that fence isn't put up yet, now I suppose if we put a letter together, we could ask about the fencing. But there are standards that they would have to follow when they put a fence up. Okay?
Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
So I hope that helps. I hope we've explained kind of what we are doing and what's going on. Any department heads, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He does have about, 12 foot up already? And he's got poles in the ground, and I don't know how much farther he's going. So I'm just saying that they're already building up towards 26, just saying that.
We're just wondering how far back from the highway those fences have to be.
And we'll have Amber from Highway take a look, along with our sheriff's department, from a safety point of view.
It's only along Hickory so far, but that's not the big point.
Well,
It just seems awful close to the road.
we're going to have to take a look at it. Okay.
Lee Oliver, 5768 West, 00 North South. Any comments or any suggestions? Train of thought here.
Been there.
State Road, huh?
Been there.
No. Got my tongue over my tooth. Couldn't see what I was saying. State Road 26. I see there's still signs up down through there. I come down there yesterday, and it's smooth sailing down through there, and there's still signs up. Any idea what's going on there? Or
I will point to Amber for that one.
It looks to me there was only 3 pieces of equipment sitting alongside the road. It looks like they're dredging a ditch.
Yes, that's what we've heard, is that there is some embankment work going on. The road is closed, per NDOT, it is closed, but we have not heard any word on when that's going to be opened. Yeah.
We pulled up at 29 and 26 there and had 4 cars coming towards us. So I said, well, let's go. So we just went down through there and just smooth sailing down through there, and not an issue.
You didn't take our sign or anything, did you?
But years ago I did. No, I better not say that.
I will.
It's in your collection.
Clay, I will tell you that during, I don't know what their hours are, but during the daytime hours, if you head 26 west towards Clinton County, there will be 2 trucks parked so that you can't enter from there at 870.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's where the big
it's
bear.
blocked out. And in the evening, the truck leaves, and then invariably, because I got a son that lives on 870, and I go out to his house, and the barricades are down.
Yeah,
And then the next day, they're back up with 2 trucks.
Yeah, there's just a small spot where you can drive through there, but like I said, I mean, that's how long has it been working on that? 6 years?
For your project, for this portion.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Brad Simone. I live in Eastern Howard County. I came in with 2 questions. Now through this meeting, I've got 3 questions. So, my first question is the last meeting I was not here, unfortunately, because if I would have been, we would have had a comment, but I wouldn't have missed it. So I heard we had some resolution agreements passed. We had a road agreement, we had a drainage agreement, and a decommissioning agreement for Emerald Green Solar. I've been told by all 3 of you that we're going to have a property value agreement But I didn't hear that.
Well, you've never been told that by me.
You never told me I was going to have property value? Okay. So I've had two guys tell me that they're working on property value agreement, but I didn't hear it. So I'm wondering, is that out the door now, or are we still working on that? They got that start date of September 10th. Does that play into when that agreement has to be approved or voted on? That's my first question, so I'll let you run with that one first.
Okay. Let me answer that. The road use, the drainage, and the decommissioning, these agreements are just, that's what they are, agreements. The process will be that this starts actually the process. From there, it still has to go to the drainage board. That's the next step.
Okay.
The drainage board has to approve their process. From there, and Greg, tell me if I'm wrong, from there, it still has to go to the planning commission. So the whole planning commission then has to approve their process. When that is completed, then it comes back for our approval, the commissioner's approval. So it still has to go before all those steps.
Okay.
This is not the end, this is actually
Okay.
the beginning.
I wasn't here, so
And I don't typically comment during a lot of the public comments. I did tonight for these folks, but I don't typically comment during public comments. But I will comment that those resolutions have not been signed. Agreements have not been signed.
Understand.
What happened at the last meeting, these guys authorized me to sign it once they tell me to, okay? Because they're looking at them, okay? Once they say, go, I'll sign them. I've signed them, or I've reviewed them. I negotiated them. These guys are reviewing them. I haven't heard back from these two yet. So I'm waiting.
Gotcha. All right, then my next one was, it's kind of gonna, see how I'm gonna do this. What these people were talking about kind of ties in with what I want to talk about, which was my third question, because I guess we're working on an ordinance now. But you were quoted, Jack, in the Kokomo Lantern last week from
I
the
don't
meeting.
believe everything you read.
And that's what you said. And I'm just going to tell you what you said. I found it very.
You don't want to play that game?
I found this quote very interesting, especially in my position and where I live. Okay, you said, "I'm getting some complaints from our county citizens on nuisance properties. I'm a firm believer in property rights. People have a right, or on their property, to do what they choose. But here's the kicker: until it starts to interfere with their neighbors." Okay? So now you're telling me you're going to
stand by that statement.
And I love it, because you're going to write a county ordinance, and I'm just wondering how that ordinance is going to be worded for reflection from over 1 million solar panels, noise from inverters that are connected to these millions of solar panels, the heat that will be generated from this black material that's going to reflect the heat, okay, and my property value. They're worried about some animals by their houses and their property values. How do you think these people would feel if they knew that 1 million solar panels were going to surround their house and their property value? You think they'd be concerned? I bet they would. And that's what we're concerned about. And it's an election year, and you're up for election. So I need to know, Jack, today what you would consider a nuisance. Would you consider 1 million solar panels a nuisance or not? It's a simple yes or no question. I don't need the politician smoke blow answer. Just yes or no. I think it will be, or I don't think it will be.
You know, Brad, we've had this conversation 1 million times.
I know we have.
1 million times. And you keep bringing it up.
I do.
1 million times.
Because I have a reason. One reason is you told me yourself, and you told me yourself, right to my face. I wouldn't want to walk out my back door and have to look at them panels.
Absolutely.
So do you think you're above everybody that lives out in eastern Howard County?
No.
Because we don't want to walk out our door and see it either, but it doesn't seem like anybody still isn't listening to us.
But everything you said is controversial.
That's an opinion.
You
It's
just-
not controversial. Are you
and
telling
I'm
me
gonna
that?
give you an example. if you
Okay, you
listen.
tell me how it's controversial.
If you listen. You just said about the reflection,
Yeah.
right? Indianapolis Airport has solar panels.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's oranges. We're in apples. This is Kokomo. This is Howard County. This isn't Marion County. This isn't Indianapolis Airport. This is Howard County.
You don't think they have reflection?
I drove by Maple Crest, and you can't see
no.
at a certain time of day when they're reflecting off them panels.
You
So
brought
yeah,
it-
it do. They
you
do
brought it
reflect.
up, not me.
They reflect. I've seen it with my own eyes at Maple Crest Elementary School. They reflect. I don't fly over. I'm not flying over Indianapolis Airport. I'm not looking at those. I don't know how they're aimed. Do they track the sun? Think about that. If you live west of the solar panels, right? No, say. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Either way, whatever side you live on, if you live on the east side of the panels and the sun's rising, boop, boop, your house. If you live on this side, in the evening, boop, boop, your house. There's reflection. And if you don't believe me, I will take you myself down to Maple Crest Elementary and we'll look at the reflection. And if you don't think there's any noise from the inverters, just drive out to Greentowns at their school. Drive out to the one at the steel mill. You can hear it all day, every day. So I'm telling you, you don't like the phone calls about nuisances? That's what I'm understanding, because we've been getting a lot of calls about nuisances. Put them around my house. I'm going to call you every day for 30 years, because that's how long they'll be there. And they're supposed to be leaving after 30 years. They're not leaving, guys. You don't put renewable energy in and then unplug it and move it somewhere else. It's here forever. Once you allow it, it's here forever. And then maybe Hickory Lane will be buried under them too. That's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you for your comments.
No problem. I hope we write a good ordinance, though, that protects everybody, not just people that have animals around their houses. Let's protect everybody in the county, even on the east side, and you guys don't like it.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments?
Mr. Ordinance,
Sure.
you got my name and address, right? Frequent flyer. The ordinance that's coming out, can it be posted, brought out before it's actually passed?
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussions right here with it.
Well, I'm just
I would
saying,
think.
you know, I mean, just, you know, bring out something. And I'm just going to say this, and I don't want to upset anybody, okay? But we come out with ordinances. I mean, I know the city, you know, I don't want to compare the city, but we come out with city ordinances of not allowing this, not allowing that. Is there anything possibly put in there that says you can have 2 chickens, 2 pigs? You know, how many times, I mean, I've got a neighbor next door to me that shoots off fireworks every year. It's a nuisance to me. You know, the city has a time that you can do fireworks between these dates and these times. So is that something, you know?
I think my neighbors failed to read that part.
Well, then you need to call and have somebody come out. I mean, like I said, I mean, I've got pine trees alongside my house, 40 foot tall, and I told a neighbor one day, I said, you know, my house, if those trees catch on fire, my house is gone. He said, oh, they'll be okay. But, you know, things like that. I mean, there's nuisances.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, everywhere. But I mean, you know, not only, just like you said, Jack, you know, you can't, you know, you don't want somebody telling you what you can do and can't do on your property, okay? But what you can do, maybe a little bit of giving.
This is going to be a tough one because
Yeah.
I firmly believe what he printed in the paper. You know, people move to the county for a reason.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
people get to do what they want to on their property.
Until it interferes with the neighbor.
So, any other public comment? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We'll stand in adjournment.